Hey guys, I'm finally getting around to posting this video. These are from over the winter. I was playing around with making donut vases that failed, and so I turned them into donut flower vases. So I am really pulling up two walls here in the donut vase. So it's a hollow form, like a donut. So I'm pulling up two walls, and then the goal is to attach them to each other to leave it hollow on the inside to make that donut form. So that's what I'm doing here in this clip. And the center wall, I'm sort of pulling out towards me, similar to a bowl shape. So I'm kind of pulling it towards the other wall so I can attach them. It's kind of a quick thing when that happens. It's almost like it's going to flop, but it flops onto the other wall, and then they can attach together like so. A quick smooth over with the rib, and then I set it to dry, so when it's leather hard, I can trim it up. So that's what I'm doing here in this clip, just attaching it to the wheel. And it took quite a while to trim this on both sides, but I didn't film the whole thing. So all right, so I'm giving her a little tap right there to give it a little bottom. And then I grabbed some random piece of clay to just sort of mold onto the top, which will be the vase part. So I'm going to attach that to this wheel thrown donut shape, and then I'll show you, how I played with the top of it. So now that that's attached, I'm gonna be forever pulling the petals. And I'm sort of, working my way from the inside, like pressure wise, more pressure further down. And then as you go outwards, it's a lighter pressure. So I'm like pulling the clay up that way with my fingertips, hard pressure to light pressure to form some petals. And this is all just random, I've never done it before. So, yeah. So here we go with that. And I ripped a piece off by accident, but that's okay because it's clay, and I stuck it back on and just worked it into the piece. Yeah, so I kept wetting my fingertips to give it good slide. And as I continued to pull like that, it would give the piece length, height, it stretched the clay out. So it's really cool. I enjoyed it completely. Keep in mind though that the more you wet it like that, it's going to flop more the more wet the clay is. So at some point I had to stop doing that and let it stiffen up again. So in this clip, I decided to add feet. So I rolled out a couple of clay balls and then stuck them on there and sort of tried to flatten it out. So I used my fist and then reattached them when they were flat like that. So they would have a little lift to it for glazing and such. And now I'm back to petal pulling, I guess you could call it. Yeah, so now that it's it's harder, it's more malleable, and I don't have to worry about it flopping. I was sort of working on smoothing things out and kind of curling the leaves or the petals with my fingers for quite a while. I wanted, a thin edge and some sort of curling of maybe a dead leaf or an opening petal of some sort. That's kind of what I was going for. Just going with it, being in the moment, At some point, I did cut a hole in the center, which was not recorded. I can't find a clip anywhere. So I did cut out the top of that donut on the inside. I cut a hole so you could put your flowers or what have you in it. I also made sure to soften those edges gently with a sponge so they aren't sharp. And this is how it came out bone dry. So yeah, you definitely want to soften those edges. And in the next clip, I'll show you. All right, so here's the finished piece. The glaze I used was river birch from the bottom all the way up to almost where the petals are. I did 3 times, 2 times on the bottom half and then 3 times towards the top. And then just seaweed from Amico. And then around the edge of the rim, I did a little bit of ancient Jasper. So that was the glaze combo, and this is on Bmix and fired to a slow cool cone 6. So that's how she came out. Really cool. And then of course I had to show you with some ferns outside in my garden. Just beautiful. And that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time.